Good morning, everybody. It's Dr. Antonio from Still Point Ayurveda here in Philadelphia, coming live at you with a usual Monday morning talk. And today is about cleansing, pooping, peeing, and sweating, and a little bit about allergies this time of year. And so I'll start off by saying that Ayurveda understands that the body is a historical system and requires consistency for health. And in order to understand this, we look at cause and effect. So when I wake up in the morning around the same time, when I go to sleep around the same time, when I eat meals around the same time, when I exercise around the same time every day, or at least on average most days, then we create a certain platform, a foundation in which the body can thrive, because it requires consistency. So if some days are extremely more irregular than other days, which are somewhat irregular, then that does not give enough stability for the body to maintain itself. You know, at the deepest core of the body's intelligence, which includes genetics and DNA and all these important components of who we are, including the circadian rhythm, there is an understanding. There's a deeper level of intelligence, and as part of nature, the body is organized as part of and within and as a result of. And therefore it's important to consider that the body, of course, will function more optimally when it is aligned with the natural daily cycles, seasonal cycles, and aspects of the life cycles, from childhood to adolescence to adulthood to later adulthood years to senior years. And so these are all in some ways working themselves out in a consistent direction. And when we are anti this, when we are contra this, then we create more chaos in the body, because the body knows that it needs to poop every day, it needs to pee every day, it needs to sweat regularly, it needs to be honored in cleansing. And so Ayurveda, as well as Chinese medicine, we do certain types of cleansing protocols around the transitional times of year especially, which, as mentioned previously, is around January, around May, and around September, the junctions, the ritu, these transitions of the season, the sandhi, which is the actual transition, ritu is the season, that those windows are the times to do such things to prepare for the next season that's coming in. And during that ritu sandhi, that seasonal transition, the previous season is leaving, and then the new season is slowly coming in. So on a bell graph, you'll see that there's an overlap. And so this is where people get sick. And so in general, following this time of year is some cleansing, and we're seeing nature pop up more as it's blossoming, and the allergens are releasing into the atmosphere. The body, to some people, will have a reaction, histamines will be activated, etc. And to some degree, Ayurveda says, what is happening in a person's digestive system? What is happening to a person's lining of the skin, which is the first line of immunity? The first lining of immunity is the skin. And externally and internally, from mouth, oral cavity to rectal cavity, there is epithelial tissue that lines the entire tract from mouth to rectum. And so this is also dependent upon the quality of digestive system. And understanding this time of year, this is what's going on. To some degree, you can see that the body is changing to adapt. We're sort of shedding the old coat of the winter and spring and getting ready for summer to lighten up and cool. And then also the times of days. So the gaps between meals, and I know that there's this fad of intermittent fasting occurring nowadays. Ayurveda has known about intermittent fasting for thousands of years. It's really not a new scientific topic. The intermittent fasting that naturally occurs, which allows the body to reorganize and also engage in the metabolic process from digesting the previous meal and preparing for the next meal, is that gap of time between the last meal and the next meal. And therefore, generally, if there are 3 meals a day, then it's between breakfast and lunch. That's one gap of time that the body's organizing, metabolizing the previous meal, preparing it for the next meal with the hunger cues and thirst cues. You have the next meal, lunchtime, and then there's a gap from lunchtime to dinner time, and the body is engaging in fat burning, etc., etc. And then the biggest fasting time of day, which supports the cleansing of the next morning, is the last meal of the day, which is around dinner time. until the next morning, which we have around breakfast time. Now, if you're on a schedule of 2 meals a day, Ayurveda calls this Dvi Anakala, and ideally if the meal is generally around 11 and 6, then that's a good time period, and you have increased fasting periods in between, which is supporting optimal performance of the digestive system only if this has been done organically and you're understanding that your lifestyle has supported this. Now the next morning, every morning upon waking, and within an hour or so, we have pooping happening. Poop happens. Everybody poops. And it's concerning that people don't poop every day. It's not normal. It is not healthy. I'm setting the record. According to Ayurveda, if you're not pooping at least once a day to around twice a day, then there's something to be concerned about that could be slow in the making, if not already as part of a bigger picture of something happening majorly with health, as a health issue, health crisis, health concern. Peeing as well. If you're not peeing regularly, then that's a concern, and at least every day we should be peeing. Sweating, we don't necessarily have to sweat every day, and at least a couple times a week is good, and during some seasons a little bit more than others. Also depends on constitution. And to just put under the umbrella pooping, peeing, and sweating, if you're doing too much pooping, too much peeing, too much sweating, not good. You're at the other end of the spectrum. It's too extreme, and it's causing more issues on the body in so many ways, shapes, and forms. So if you have any current conditions, take a look. Ask yourself, what conditions do I have? What is my pooing, peeing, and sweating looking like in this context? If you're not sweating enough, if you're not peeing enough, if you're not pooping enough, then at the other end of the spectrum, you'll see similar health issues regarding the lack thereof. So there's a deficiency, and then there's an excess. And we want to get that point in the middle, where we're pooing every day, peeing every day, sweating regularly, could be a couple times a week, depending on your exercise, not overly sweating, not overly drenching your clothes, not feeling that you need to run in the middle of 100-degree weather, in the middle of summer, during lunchtime. That's not proper health for the body, and that in Ayurveda has shown to cause long-term damage. Pooping, peeing, and sweating are part of the biological factors, physiological functions of the body in cleansing itself to some degree. Obviously, pooping and peeing and sweating serve other functions. I'm just focusing right now on the cleansing aspect since this is today's topic. And so cleansing, we wake up in the morning generally, if we're in a good healthy state, we poop, we pee, and then we might do a little exercise, do a little bit of light sweating, and that's great. But at least pooping and peeing, and that's already supporting, because we're letting go through pooping, peeing, and sweating what happened yesterday and previously and historically. It's a way of letting go. It's a way of creating space. It's allowing for freshness, a refresh, a restart to the day, so that you can feel a sense of openness and feel that you're going to receive whatever the nutrients of that day are, including physical exercise. We're giving nutrients to some degree to the body. And so if you're noticing, as a side note, allergies, then wonder, what's your quality of health? What is your overall state of digestion? What is your quality of pooping, peeing, sweating? What are the natural cleansing times of days looking like for you, including nighttime? Sleep is the most important function of health and vitality and digestibility and hormones, so the endocrine system, immune system, nervous system, everything. We're getting proper sleep, which in Ayurveda means being asleep around 10 o'clock. Ideally, for most people in most cases. Obviously, there's going to be some leeway for certain people that are in certain industries or careers or certain jobs, like surgeons or doctors or firemen or policemen that have to respond to some emergency situation, or you happen to be working a night shift, etc., etc. This is part of life, and then Ayurveda can help maximize a person's health and well-being even in the context of such situations. But I'm speaking of the general context where people can start their day getting up early, ending their day, going to sleep at a normal time, and feeling that they're aligned with this natural rhythm. And so in these cases, we make more refined efforts, we make more, we have more an awareness of what does the day look like, and the body will respond. The body will tell you the state of health, immunity, all these different systems, digestive system, nervous system, cardiovascular system, lymphatic system, respiratory system. All of this depends and is contingent upon the state of digestion in and of itself, because what we eat, we become, right? So the quality of our tissues, the strength of our tissues, the vitality of our tissues, the immunity of our tissues, including mind, health of mind, stability of mind, clarity of mind, quality of intelligence of mind, clarity, etc. This will also be determined by factors such as what we are eating and how the body is responding, and vice versa. Depending on what the state of mind is, the body is going to be the recipient of half these things. So if we're doing emotional eating, stressful eating, under-eating, overeating, etc., the body will be the medium in which we observe such things happening, and we really can't ignore it at some point, to at least forever, because the body wins. The body keeps the score, as I previously mentioned. So if you're having allergies or other kinds of symptoms, especially this time of year, think about what the last season looked like. Think about what the season looked like before. How are you preparing for the following season, which is preceding? And then you can think about this at the end of the summer. What was my summer like, and how is my fall looking like, etc., etc. So this is all food for thought, and happy Monday. And I'm always open to working with new patients and helping everyone jump on the health wagon and feel better as much as possible within the context of your own individual life and within your own individual process, according to Ayurvedic principles, which are amazing and completely helpful and universal and supportive, and they do work. Ayurveda works if you work it, so work it. Have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you all soon. Feel free to private message me. And remember, I do my yoga morning classes, which have shifted now to 7 a.m. instead of 8 a.m. on Tuesdays and Fridays. And it's a great way to start today. Namaste. Be well.